I'm Christina and I'm a tutor at the Writing Center, and today I'm going to tell you some things about the writing process. So the first step in the writing process is to understand your assignment. You can always ask your professor. If you're unclear about an assignment, ask your professor to clarify. If you have questions in class, ask them, because chances are you're not the only person who has that question. Make sure that your professor knows you as well. Building a rapport with your professors helps when you have questions, when you're unsure about something, so make sure you stop into their office hours and build a rapport with them. That can come in handy when you also need a letter of recommendation. When you get an assignment, read it thoroughly, read it right away, and underline the key words. Even when you're focusing on other things, your mind's going to start thinking about that assignment. Once you understand the requirements of the assignment after reading over the assignment and talking with your professor, you're ready to begin the assignment. So ask yourself the following questions. What is the purpose of the piece? Who is the audience? What sources are needed? And who else can help? Who else can help can be roommates, teacher, parent, and also us tutors. Reading the text. So before you start an assignment, you may want to make sure that you read your text, whether it's your textbooks, articles, other books, things you find online, any of that kind of stuff. So use a pencil to mark important ideas. This can come in handy not only when doing a writing assignment, but when you're preparing for a test, you also know what key ideas to focus when you're studying. Reread challenging articles and texts. This kind of goes hand in hand. When you're unsure about something, if it's difficult to understand, just keep rereading it, highlighting the parts that you find important. Once you find an article that you feel comfortable with, reread the introduction and conclusion to make sure that you're understanding the main points of the article. Reading your paper. Once you feel you've completed your assignment, it's time to begin your revision and your editing process. So the first step is to read your paper. If you're used to reading on your computer screen, you should definitely print off the paper. By printing off the paper and having a hard copy, you can picture your paper as a whole instead of looking at it page by page on the computer. And when you're doing this, by having it on paper, you can use a pencil to make any corrections that you see along the way. Read and reread and do it out loud. So never turn in an assignment without rereading it. Whenever possible, write your assignment ahead of time so you can set aside your writing and come back to it. Basically what we'd like to say is do the assignment, give yourself however much time you have. If you have a few days to walk away from it and come back, you have much more time to look back at it with a fresher mind. If you only have an hour or two, give yourself that hour or two to walk away from the paper before you immediately start the revision and editing process. We know what we intend to write. A break enables us to see what we actually wrote. So reading out loud is going to help you hear things differently than how you're reading it in your mind. You can think that you wrote a completely different word as you're reading it in your head than when you're reading it out loud, what you have typed on the paper. And finally, go to the Writing Center. Working with a tutor at the Writing Center can be really beneficial. There is nothing like getting the feedback of a trained tutor to help you understand the impact of your writing on a reader. We can help you point out things that you may have questions with or things that you're unsure of, you may not have noticed when you're reading through by yourself. And also keep in mind that the Writing Center will help with any assignment, any student. It's not just freshmen. You can continually come here up until you're a graduate student.